Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today, we're exploring a topic that really seems to resonate with so many in our fast-paced world. This persistent search for clarity, for calm, and maybe a deeper sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt a bit adrift, maybe overwhelmed by anxiety or just completely burnt out?
I think many people have.
If so, you're definitely not alone, and today's deep dive into our sources might just offer a surprising new perspective.
That's right. We've pulled together some truly compelling material for you today. We've got academic research excerpts. We've got community discussions from places like Reddit, and some really powerful personal stories, too. And they all seem to point towards how this ancient practice called Reiki is being looked at now as a kind of modern pathway to address these very real emotional and, spiritual needs.
Okay, so our goal for you today is pretty clear. We want to unpack what Reiki actually is, why people are increasingly turning to it, and maybe explore the very tangible impacts individuals are reporting, impacts on their mental and emotional well-being.
Exactly.
So let's get into it. Let's explore how this energy healing modality might be helping people find their way back to themselves.
Sound good?
But before we really dive into the why, maybe let's just quickly clarify what Reiki is, because, our mission here is to make sure you're really well informed.
Good point.
Yeah.
So our sources defined Reiki as essentially a Japanese technique. A practitioner will lightly place their hands on, or sometimes just above the body.
Right.
And the intention there is to channel what's often described as universal life force energy.
Universal life force energy.
Yeah, okay. And this process, it's believed to promote, deep relaxation, reduce stress, and really support the body's own natural healing abilities.
So it's non-invasive.
Completely non-invasive, and people often describe it as feeling like a gentle warmth, maybe a tingling sensation. Pretty subtle sometimes.
Okay, that helps clarify. Now let's talk about that feeling of being lost. It's quite striking how many people articulate a spiritual sense of feeling lost and longing for something. That quote came from a Reddit user. It feels like this isn't just some abstract philosophical question anymore, is it? It's really manifesting as an emotional imperative for a lot of us.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating, looking through the sources, is how that experience, not knowing what I'm here for, how that can actually show up as anxiety, sometimes depression, or just this pervasive feeling of being stuck. Stagnation.
Right, stuck.
And while obviously cognitive approaches like coaching or, traditional therapy offer really invaluable frameworks,
Of course.
our sources frequently suggest they sometimes just fall short. They don't quite reach what some describe as the energetic root of the disconnection.
That's a really powerful phrase, energetic root of the disconnection. Can you unpack that a little more for us? Based on the sources, I mean. How does something like Reiki address something that sounds so intangible?
Yeah, absolutely. So based on our sources, when they talk about energetic roots, they're referring to these underlying sort of non-physical patterns, patterns of imbalance or stagnation in the body's subtle energy system.
Okay. Not physical, not conscious thoughts.
Not always conscious thoughts or beliefs, no. Sometimes deeper energetic imprints, maybe from past experiences, that can manifest as emotional distress or even sometimes physical discomfort. And Reiki, the idea is, aims to address these directly by facilitating a shift in those energy patterns, helping to clear what is sometimes called blocked truths, or maybe subconscious fears that might be holding people back.
Okay, so if it's not about getting mental answers, like intellectual clarity in the session,
Right.
how does this energy shift actually translate into people gaining insight or feeling a renewed sense of direction?
That's a really excellent question. And many accounts in our sources, they describe gaining insights, but, quote, not from the mind, but from within.
Within.
Yeah. It's less about the practitioner giving you answers, definitely not that. It's more about the practice itself bringing you into this profoundly calm, centered state.
Like a deep stillness.
Exactly. And in that stillness, maybe those subconscious fears or the blocked truths we mentioned, they can begin to dissolve almost naturally. And that allows your own inner wisdom or intuition, whatever you want to call it, to surface.
Oh, okay.
So clients often report leaving sessions feeling, back on track. Even if they don't have specific defined answers written down, it's more like they've become still enough to actually hear their own purpose more clearly.
That makes sense. So beyond just addressing that deeper sort of existential sense of purpose, Our sources also reveal that Reiki seems to provide pretty concrete relief for more immediate, more widespread emotional challenges, like anxiety.
Oh, definitely anxiety.
And it's so prevalent, isn't it? I think one source mentioned over 40% of Canadians reporting moderate to severe symptoms. People are really looking beyond just the conventional treatment.
They are. And it's compelling how often people trying Reiki for the first time describe this really powerful and unexpected sense of release.
Unexpected. Okay.
Yeah. One participant shared, and I'm quoting here, "The reason I'm trying Reiki is because of anxiety. I never felt more relaxed in my life."
Wow.
Another even said they, quote, "cried from the overwhelming sense of serenity I felt. My body was loose and I was happy."
That's quite an emotional release.
It really is.
Yeah.
And these aren't just, subjective feelings floating in the air. Our sources connect these effects directly to nervous system regulation.
Okay, that's a crucial connection. Nervous system regulation. So what does that actually mean for someone who's, struggling with daily stress, maybe chronic anxiety? How does an energy modality achieve that kind of deep physiological shift?
Well, the thinking is it's all about activating the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system.
Right, the opposite of fight or flight.
Exactly. Now,
Okay.
the precise mechanism scientifically is still being explored, but our sources strongly suggest that by facilitating such a profoundly deep state of relaxation, Reiki effectively signals the nervous system to shift down, to move from that high-stress fight-or-flight mode into a calmer, more restorative state.
And what are the observable benefits?
Well, things like lowered heart rate, slower respiration, reduced muscular tension, often increased emotional clarity, and even improved sleep quality afterwards.
Okay.
People often report that floating or weightless sensation during a session,
Yeah, I saw that mentioned.
which you could see as physical metaphors, really, for a tangible downshift in that nervous system activation.
Makes sense.
And for individuals dealing with, say, high-functioning anxiety where they're always on, even just one session can be described, and was described in our sources, as truly life-changing.
Life-changing. That's significant. Let's shift gears slightly to burnout. It's become such a cultural epidemic, hasn't it?
It really has.
So much so that it's officially recognized by the World Health Organization. And it's not just about job stress, is it? It leaks into everything: relationships, health, that sense of purpose we talked about.
Absolutely. It's pervasive. And we saw this reflected directly in the sources, like a Reddit user asking, "My partner has been feeling really burnt out recently, and I was wondering if doing Reiki on her might help."
Right, a very practical question.
Very practical. And in the context of burnout, our sources frame Reiki as this non-invasive tool to recalibrate emotional balance and also to restore energetic vitality.
Restore energetic vitality. Okay.
Yeah, and unlike some forms of talk therapy, which are incredibly valuable but require verbal processing,
Right.
Reiki typically involves no verbal processing during the session itself, which honestly can be a huge relief for someone already feeling emotionally drained and just talked out.
Yeah, I can see that.
The practitioner channels energy, and the outcome is often deep relaxation, sometimes emotional catharsis like we heard with anxiety, and frequently a renewed sense of clarity and just general well-being.
So when we talk about energetic vitality, it's like recharging your inner battery,
That's a
maybe.
great analogy.
Yeah.
Replenishing your inner reserves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this idea of returning to self seems really central here, too. I remember seeing a comment from a user in Vancouver who found Reiki really helpful with my stressful job, especially for connecting back to self.
Connecting back.
It highlights how burnout can almost fragment our sense of identity, doesn't it? And Reiki seems aimed at restoring that kind of energetic flow to combat the fragmentation.
It really does seem to aim for that wholeness. Now, it's important to say, more large-scale placebo-controlled studies are definitely still needed to fully understand all the mechanisms at play.
Sure, the science is still evolving.
Absolutely. But the early findings are quite promising. For instance, a 2017 pilot study showed reduced anxiety and depression in college students who received Reiki.
Okay.
And a 2020 trial found significant reductions in both stress and pain among cancer patients undergoing treatment.
Wow, cancer patients too.
Yeah. And it also appears to improve heart rate variability, HRV.
Ah, HRV. That's a strong physiological marker of stress resilience, right?
Exactly. A good indicator of how well your system can adapt to stress.
So, given these kinds of impacts, it's not really surprising that our sources also touch on the varied practical applications. It seems to be moving beyond just individual sessions.
Yeah, definitely. People are exploring it in different ways, from like that Reddit user, partners supporting each other at home, potentially
Yeah.
through to workplace wellness programs. It seems to be gaining traction in quite diverse settings.
So people can learn to do it themselves.
They can. Our sources even recommend consistent personal practice for self-care and suggest that considering something like a level 1 Reiki course for home use could empower individuals. Empower them to support not just themselves, but also their partners, their family members, through difficult or stressful times.
Interesting. Okay, finally, let's touch upon emotional healing, particularly for those maybe dealing with the deeper impacts of trauma or chronic low mood like depression.
Hmm.
Our sources present Reiki here as a potentially powerful complement to conventional therapy. We even saw one practitioner state quite boldly, "I seriously think Reiki saved my mental health."
That's a strong statement.
Hmm.
And the underlying belief here, as outlined in our sources, is that trauma can create these blockages, areas of stagnant energy within the body's energetic system.
Blockages again.
Yeah. And Reiki aims to gently help reestablish the flow of energy through those areas, helping clients to release trapped emotions, but crucially, often without needing to verbally relive the traumatic experiences in detail during the session.
Which can be re-traumatizing for some in talk therapy.
Exactly. It offers a
Interesting.
different pathway. Recipients frequently report feeling this deep sense of calm and release during the sessions themselves,
Mhm.
and then potentially longer-term improvements in mood and maybe a restored sense of safety and trust in their own body, that feeling of being at home in yourself again.
Right.
For quite a few people, according to these accounts, it can represent a significant turning point,
Yeah.
especially when traditional therapy alone felt maybe overwhelming or like it wasn't quite reaching certain layers.
A turning point. So, wrapping this all up, what does this really mean for you, our listener? I mean, this deep dive seems to show that in this age of overwhelming disconnection,
Yeah.
people are actively seeking out modalities like Reiki, not necessarily as a replacement for conventional care, let's be clear,
Absolutely not a
but
replacement.
as a vital and often it sounds like quite profound complement. It seems to offer a subtle, maybe, but deeply impactful pathway towards emotional and spiritual well-being for some.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary. When we connect it all, Reiki appears to help individuals reconnect to their own kind of intrinsic sense of calm, their own safety, their own presence.
Mhm.
It seems to be about finding a sense of relief that can last and accessing healing in a way that really respects the individual's pace and process. Sometimes, crucially, without always needing that extensive verbal processing of trauma.
Right. So, as we finish up this deep dive, here's maybe a provocative thought for you to consider for yourself. In your own search, whether it's for clarity or for calm, what if the answer isn't entirely about finding something new out there, but perhaps about becoming still enough, quiet enough to truly hear what's already waiting within you?